I can't
Hi.
put my... Hi.
Hi, this is 2/3 of our raft of wandering otters. Well, okay, 1/2 because Pinky is now 1/4 of a raft of wandering otters. Paul and I are going to talk today about what it's been like. We're parked outside Susan's oncologist office, and Paul is not going to school today because he has very strong feelings about April Fools and pranks, and he doesn't care for April Fools and pranks. And you know, we talked about that, right, Paul?
Right.
The thing about pranks is that a lot of times you're laughing at someone. It's a joke at someone else's expense.
But you have to get even.
And it creates a whole cycle of revenge. Yeah. So we choose not to celebrate April Fools. We choose not to be part of that. So
And I have one thing.
yeah.
If those pranks strike again, I'll just stick a broom at them.
Oh, you mean like Forrest Gump's mama who chases away raccoons off the porch?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that we wanted to talk about today, since we're at Susan's oncologist office, is a little bit of a background about Susan's fight with cancer. We've always known that this was a really strong possibility because she has a strong history of cancer in her family. So we were kind of prepared for this in many ways. But when Susan got the diagnosis, Paul happened to be in Paola, Kansas at the time. He'd been there just about a year, a little over a year, when we got the diagnosis. And by the way, he was at a school called Lake Mary Center, and it was a residential school /
It was
treatment.
like a prison for kids.
It's not really a prison for kids, but he felt like he was a prisoner, and he couldn't just come and go as he pleased, but none of us really can, right?
Yeah, I was becoming a hermit.
Yeah, when you were living here at home, you were kind of becoming a hermit.
And also, I lived my days in exile from school.
Yeah, he was on, do you mind if I tell?
Yeah.
He was on home and hospital before he got sent to Lake Mary, and it's just because there's some things that he couldn't manage his anger, and but he's much better at it now. You're not perfect, right?
Right.
But you're working on it.
I really want him to.
So, Paul, I want to ask you, how did it feel when you first learned that your mom had cancer? It was
I should have gone home early.
about 2 years ago.
Should have gone home early. I knew it.
Yeah, well, you didn't cause your mom's cancer.
I know.
Okay. So you don't need to feel guilt about that. All right, Paul. So I think if I can summarize for you, it made you feel very anxious when you learned, here you were 1,800 miles away from home, and you learned that your mom had cancer. And we waited until I was there to pick him up, to take him home. His mom stayed here because she was in the middle of getting routine chemotherapy at the time. And so she stayed here, and I went in our travel trailer D2 and traveled to Kansas to pick up Paul, and we did get to see a few sights, and we had a little bit of a mancation, and
He went on Outlaw Run.
He went on Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri, and that was a big deal. Absolutely.
And
right?
I also lost weight for that.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight. Unfortunately, he's gained a lot of weight back, but we are trying to turn things around and get into a routine and a kind of a mindfulness where we can deal with some of the hunger impulses and whatever else that makes us overeat.
Abilify.
Well, Abilify could be part of it, yeah.
I blame Abilify.
I'm not going to say that Paul takes that medicine, but there is a side effect to Abilify that it spurs
Trouble.
it spurs appetite, and so he's had some trouble dealing with normal routine because I'm not a light person. I have heavy bones. That's what my mother would always say. But yeah, we have a little bit of a weight problem that's kind of hereditary in my family, and it might be why we're named Gordo. It's not really, but anyway,
It's a shame.
it's kind of oh now, really? You want another name?
I like Harrison.
Like George Harrison? Why not McCartney or Lennon
McCartney, yeah.
or Starkey?
Starkey.
Okay. Well, your grandma Shirley, her father's last name was Brandon. You want Brandon?
Maybe.
Maybe we'll go by that.
And
Anyway.
so I can be skinny again.
Yeah, but you know what? The name Gordo doesn't cause you to gain weight.
Then what does?
Well, it's could be a wide variety of things, and if I knew the whole answer to that, you and I would get very, very rich, because lots of people in the country struggle with weight. I think a lot of it has to do with how our instincts were programmed to eat, whether or not we're really even hungry. And sometimes when we're just a little bit hungry, we eat a lot, because you never know when when that's going to be your last meal for a long period of time. That's kind of the raw instinct that's inside of us, Paul, and it's hard to get used to the fact of abundance. And to be perfectly honest, Susan and I were both raised by people who endured the Depression, and so honestly, food wasn't always a guaranteed thing for that generation, and so sometimes that got passed on. That thinking got passed on to us as kind of like feast when you can. And I'm not going to say it's right or wrong, but that's part of our instinct, I suppose. Okay, but let's talk a little bit more about how are your feelings now that your mom has been cancer-free for almost 2 years now?
Much better.
Yeah, I would say so. Susan's the chemotherapy was great, and she had radiation on top of that, even if it wasn't necessary. And she, I'm not going to lie, chemotherapy isn't a walk in the park, and it's not, snap easy and hey, let's go do chemotherapy. It's so much fun, and it cures cancer. It doesn't always. So I don't want to give the impression that we're anything but fortunate. And, we are mindful that this can come back. So we don't take anything for granted. And each, one day at a time, and each day is a gift. So that's how we have to roll with that. We can't just take for granted every day, because we know that A, the cancer can come back, and B, there can be other things that affect us. We're of an age, we're at retirement age, and so other things can get the best of us. So we take every day as a blessing. So Paul, what's the best thing about your mom being cancer-free?
Not committing the S word. What?
Hey, Paul, we were talking before, and we mentioned you mentioned that you're anxious to see your mom's hair grow back.
Yeah.
That's a positive, yeah, because she did lose her hair during the chemotherapy, and now it's growing back, and it's actually kind of cool. It's got like highlights, like platinum
Good thing
highlights.
she's not a
to it.
skinhead anymore. She's not. She used to be, right? Bald.
This is a raft of wandering otters. We're checking in on you here at Susan's oncologist office, keeping you up to date with our day-to-day doings.
Yeah, yeah, bird, yeah, mockingbird.
Have you heard?
Yeah. Can we try that song?
Sure. Well,
Hey, Dad,
just a little sample of it.
Yeah.
Didn't we just do one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mockingbirds and otters. Get along. A raft of wandering otters, thank you for joining us. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You'll never walk alone.
You'll never walk alone. All right, this is Paul and Steve doing a sound check. Sound check?
Gotcha.
Sound check. You don't have to lift it up. Just talk normally, but maybe a little bit.
Let's try again.
And remember, you're looking. Well, that's okay. We're just doing a sound check. And remember, this is the camera right here. So talk to that part like you're talking to a person.
Okay.
Okay. Hello. Lovely.